Prices are down and they are continuing to really drift down in the Guelph and area housing market. You know, things aren't really feeling that much more affordable, although prices are going down. And so, why is that? Well, we have a slowing economy for sure with sticky inflation. We have massive renewals that get a lot of press about what's coming down the pike in terms of residential mortgages. And there's this feeling that the economy is not stirring up, and tariffs and all the news around tariffs is not helping at all the Guelph and area housing market. So things on paper, though, look really good because if you're hearing about mortgage rates, you can get a mortgage rate somewhere between 3.5 to 4.5%, depending on whether it's fixed versus variable, whether it's an insured mortgage or not. And that means that that's really great. But when we compare it to the pandemic in 2020, when we thought the world was going to stop, that we weren't sure how banks and lawyers' offices and how everything was going to transpire with housing. And there was so much uncertainty around that. And still, the market was chugging along much better than today. And with housing coming down, you'd think very much that buyers would be jumping off the sidelines to be taking advantage of all the affordability. But yet, affordability isn't quite what buyers are looking for, even though it is very much in a buyer's market. We have, on average here in the Guelph area, about 4 to 4.5 months supply, depending on the type of product we have. So it really comes down to what's happening locally. And so let's begin, and I'm going to take you through some local numbers for November 2025. So here is November. It's a lot of numbers. I want you to focus here where my cursor is in year to date. So that's for the first 10 months of the year till the end of October 2025 versus prior year to date. The first two numbers are the average and median sold prices. And you can see they're down between 6.5 to 8% versus last year for the last first 10 months of 2024 versus the 10 months of 2025. Now, if you looked at the same month, October 24 to October 25, they're again down. You can see here be any month over month. So September to October 2025, again, prices are down 5. So these are for condos. And this is 512,000 average to 465 the median price. And year to date, that is taking all 10 months into consideration. The average is, 529,000 to 505. So things have come down. Whether you're looking at month over month, year to date, or same time last year. And that's again reflected in the transaction volume here. It's down 25%. In September, it was about 28% down. So it's a little better, it's slowing, but still 25% down is significant. Now, when we look at list prices here for year to date, sellers are not getting the message. This was 571,000 average to 529 median price. Now that's significant. Median price is the number in the middle of the range. Average can be swayed by low end or high end numbers. So there are a couple, 1, 2 properties that have sold at the higher end that is dragging that average price up. And when we look at the median, it's around 430,000. And that's down anywhere between 8.6% down to 9%. Now let's look at new listing volumes. So how many properties are coming on the market in condos here in Guelph? And it's up almost 13%. When we look at last month, it was also showing a similar number. Same month last year was 56, so it's also up. And again, it's interesting though, month over month, so September to October, it's actually down a little bit, which makes sense as we come to the end of the year. Listings tend to fall off more as we get closer to Christmas. And when we look at what things are selling for down here, you can see that it's around 97% of list price, which is about the same as last year and month over month. And days on market is very deceiving because you can see here it's 41 and 32, so the average and the median, and that's up significantly from last year. It's up anywhere from 17 to 28%. But I would say there's a caveat to this because that is really not reflective of the actual real days on market. And the reason for that is because listings are actually sitting longer than expected. What real estate agents, and I've done this myself, is you either suspend it or you terminate it and relist it. And when you do both of those things, the days on market counter begins again. So it may show for the listing that it's a month on, that it took a month, but when you look into the history, it's actually been expired or terminated and then relisted. And it's probably more like closer to 60 days on market is the real number. So that's what's happening in condos. Now and that's all condos. Let's look at 2-bedroom condos because they are the most common. And you can see that 2-bedroom condos, we're just going to look at percent changes here, anywhere from almost 8.5 down to 11% in terms of sale prices. Year to date, the transaction volume is down 20%. So now you would expect with sale prices down, transaction volume down, that list prices would be down considerably as well. Well, they are to a certain extent. They're down 9.5 to 12%, so anywhere between 550,000 up to 586,000. But when you look at those numbers compared to what's actually selling, you can see that sellers really aren't, they're kind of stuck in the past, basically. They're looking at 2022, 2023 prices and saying, I'm hoping to get this for my house versus this is what the market is telling me. And when we look at sale price to list price, again, for 2-bedroom condos, it's 97%. That you'll see right across all types of properties. So that's condos, and those are the two most, 2-bedroom are the most common. Well, let's look at homes. Now, detached homes are still very much in demand. When we look at what builders are building or have been building in past, there are far less detached homes happening than there are condos and townhomes, simply because it is more profitable for a builder, given, let's say, an acre of land to build to intensify that. And the way to do that is through condos, townhomes. There's more per acreage versus a single detached. So let's look year to date, October. There, you can see they're only down 1.5%, not very much. And sale prices, median is 857. The average is 916,000 for all types of detached homes. So we're talking bungalows, 2-story, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms homes, things like that. The volume is pretty much flat as well, 1.8. It's down about 2%, which isn't bad considering. And when you can compare that to condos, it really tells a very different story. And the list price is a little off, 900 to just over $1 million, which means that they're selling at about 98% of list price versus last year, it was 99%. So a little softer, not significantly, not the same as what we're seeing in condos or townhomes. And in terms of listing volume, it's up 4%. So there was 16, almost 1,700 year to date new listings of detached homes in Guelph area versus just over 1,600 this time last year, end of October of last year. So that is where we're at in terms of detached homes for Guelph. And that's what I wanted to bring you up to date. So the real message is that homes are sticky. It depends on what type of home that you're looking at. There are definitely opportunities here for buyers and sellers. So for buyers, of course, if you're looking for a condo, you have definitely time and price to negotiate and conditions. If you're looking at a townhome, there is definitely some room to negotiate and definitely opportunity to include conditions. If you're a seller, it really speaks to always that advice that I give, and that is list to the where the market is at. Make sure that you're bringing to market a product that buyers are really interested in. And the two big things that I talk about are really decluttering, and also part of that decluttering is cleaning, and the other is paint can go a long way to solve a lot of problems. Between having a decluttered, cleaned house and a freshly painted home can mean thousands of dollars in your pocket. So that's where we're at for our October Guelph's update. And if you like this information, come back for more and subscribe, and I'll continue doing these market updates.